Hello, everybody. We are back with Unit 5, Lesson 6, continuing talking about multiplication of decimals. And we're going to look at some different methods for multiplying decimals to make sense of how we can do it and to find a method that works best for you. So we can see two people's work here in front of us. We have Elena on the left. We have Noah on the right. They both are computing the problem 0.23 times 1.5. We're going to look at their two methods. They both get to the same solution here at the bottom, but they do it in quite different ways. And so we'll see if you can see how they have some similarities, maybe some differences, but why they both got to that solution. So Elena decided that she wasn't going to work with decimal numbers. Her comfort is whole numbers. So she times 0.23 or 23 hundredths by 100. And so we've been seeing that if we multiply numbers by 10 and 100, the amount of zeros tell me how many times this gets moved to the right. So 0.23 times 100 is 23. They also didn't want Elena didn't want 1.5, and so she times it by 10 to move her decimal one to the right to get 15. And she said, okay, 23 times 15, that's a number I'm more comfortable with. Multiplied out 23 by 15 to get 345. The issue here is the answer to this small decimal problem up here is not 345. She needs to undo the multiplication of times 100 and times 10 that she did. So 100 and then times 10 more, really that's multiplying by 1,000. 100 times 10 is 1,000. So she has to divide out the 1,000 that she multiplied in because division undoes multiplication. And reverse of moving my decimal to the right, if I divide by a number like 110 or 1,000, I move my decimal 3 times to the left now. So getting an answer of 0.35. Noah, on the other hand, chose to change his numbers to fractions, 23 hundredths. And the 5 is in the tenths. So because it's a number greater than 1, we have an improper fraction of 15 tenths. And then he said, hey, multiplying fractions is easy to me. I multiply straight across. 23 times 15 is 345. 100 times 10 is 1,000. 345 thousandths is my answer. And knowing decimal places, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, right here I have 345 thousandths going from a fraction format back to a decimal. Both work. One's getting rid of decimals, multiplying, and then undoing what we did with that. The other one's switching to fractions and using my multiplication of fractions. I am going to scroll down and pause because I have to get some work ready. You won't really feel the pause, but I want to get something drawn up here. All right. Off to the left here, I have a visual drawn. We'll get to the one on the right, but I think starting with whole numbers is going to help us make sense of this. So we're going to talk about area because when we did area, we multiplied our two dimensions. And so multiplication and area make it really easy to have something to make this relatable. If I look at this diagram, I have squares, and each square is 1 unit by 1 unit. And so if I asked you the area, the length times the width, each little square inside of here is 1 unit squared because 1 times 1 is 1. And if we think about this whole thing as an area, it's really a 4 by 2. And 4 times 2 is 8. And we can see those 8 squares within it. Well, now let's look at decimals. If I have a square here that is 1/10 by 1/10, and I asked you to multiply 1/10 by 1/10, because that's how you find the area, you would multiply straight across, bear with me, and get 1/100th. I only have 30 seconds left in my video here. 1/100th. So each of these is 100th. That means I have 8 hundredths. And if I think about that as a decimal, it is 0.08. To get to 8 hundredths, it has to be in the hundredths place value. This is just a preview. I'm going to have more video coming to continue this.